Right, welcome back to another episode of Team Talks. I'm absolutely delighted to have four very special guests with me today. The format of this show is very simple. It's like our own little personal team talk, huddle in change rooms before we go out. We're going to share some wisdom. Everyone's brought a question, but before we get into the questions, we're going to do introductions. So I'm going to start to my left, Matt.
Hi, I'm Matt from B4B Marketing, and I head up our production and social media teams there.
Hello, I'm Liyen, Clutton. I work at Bisco's Legal Services in Portsmouth. I'm a director there. We offer a wide range of legal services to individuals, businesses, all over the South Coast, Hampshire and the Isle of Wight.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Sam Clover. I'm Managing Director at Bisco South Limited, a construction company based in Poole.
Hi, I'm Tim Martin. I work with Dojo. We supply card machine services, card payment acquiring for anything from an SME through to large corporates.
Nice, thank you very much, ladies and gents. Really appreciate your time. So let's start with our first question. I'm going to start with you, Mr. Clover.
Cool.
What's on your mind? What do you want to discuss?
Unfortunately, it's a COVID-based question because obviously it's affected a lot of businesses in different ways, personal life and businesses. So my question is, how did COVID impact on your businesses and were there any positive outcomes?
Okay, who wants to kick us off?
I think certainly at B4B, culture, it was impacted the most, I think. Certainly from a production point of view, things never stopped, particularly because our companies still had requirements. When you're filming things, you were still allowed to operate during COVID, but obviously there was a lot of our staff working remotely. And I think before that, we were a business, very 8 till 5, everyone in the office, everyone in the workplace. And I think certainly since then, we have teams all over the world working remotely. But now it's a big time. We introduced a big change. We introduced sort of flexible working. So teams work from home on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And I think we kind of learned that, although it's good to have that creative buzz and it's good to be in the same space and bounce off each other, you don't actually have to do that. And I think it changed, so our culture kind of evolved as a business because of that.
You think the positive outcome was mainly the flexibility on knowing that people can work more remotely?
Yeah, I think so. And I think all businesses had to evolve. I think, and certainly from the outside, since then, since COVID, we've won a couple of awards of, being a great place to work. Would we have won that before? I don't know.
Okay.
And certainly there's been some positive changes.
Did the COVID affect the business? Obviously, you can't go out and shoot and stuff, so I guess top line revenue was affected.
But you could, yeah, you could. I mean, obviously, we're a full service agency, so there's lots of work that takes place behind the scenes, whether it's SEO, pay-per-click marketing, social media, as well as actual production, filming things. But you're allowed to do that during COVID. But still, it's our clients' businesses that were affected the most. I think we were quite lucky that you are either very positive and forward thinking, as a business owner, you want to get past this and your business is going to survive and grow, and you were looking to the future, and then if that was the case, then you were proactive with your marketing. So a lot of the clients we worked with during that time, thankfully, they were of that mindset, and then they kind of pushed forward and said, how do we maximise revenue in this time?
Oh, nice. Tim, what about you? COVID affect the business and any positive outcomes?
Yeah, it's a tricky one. I don't particularly like talking about COVID in the way of business, mainly because I don't feel that we were affected badly in any way, shape or form compared to some people. So I kind of feel almost a little bit guilty there. Me personally, I had quite a large hospitality back book with card machines, and obviously they were decimated to start with. So for me, I just went, how do I then get a back book that is working better? So it's helped me diversify from hospitality into retail, but it was pretty quick. It didn't take long before hospitality kind of bounced back, doing takeaways, doing selling other things. So restaurants then selling products like flour, eggs, bread, that kind of thing. And it was really interesting to see from how my clients changed their businesses so quickly to adapt to, maybe they weren't able to do table service or anything like that, or they were closed for a few months. But how, and like you said, if a company looked at the positive side of it and went, okay, we need to do whatever we can now to change, those ones actually did really well from it. If you sat back and went, poor me, and didn't do anything about change or looking at where you can change your business to suit what was going on. But in terms of positives, it really has, like you say, the flexible working. I used to travel a lot. I do a lot more online now. I'm not a fan of it. I much prefer a face-to-face meeting, but it does, you can spend 2-3 hours driving to somewhere where you can do that over Zoom or Teams or whatever, and you can have that, at least that initial meeting to do your prep work for an appointment or whatever it is online, rather than driving 2-3 hours.
Finding that balance. Isn't it?
It's fine. It is finding that balance, and it is now. We're fully back to normal again. And it's getting that balance right between face to face and online. But yeah, as a company, we obviously took a massive hit in turnover through the terminals, but it didn't take long for retail and other sectors to really bounce back. But it did highlight for me personally, having a broader spectrum across my own book is a far safer option than really focusing on one particular area, because if that area does get affected by something in the future, at least then you've got retail, hospitality, you've got a wide range.
Nice. So spreading the positive outcome being you're more open to spreading the risk of your business now.
Yeah.
That's a good lesson to learn, I guess, isn't it?
It is. Just, hospitality was something that I fell into naturally when I started here 10 years ago. And you become good in a certain sector and you get a lot of referrals and you become used to it. It's probably the best way of putting it. But that was a bit of a scare for me, is knowing and putting all your eggs into one sector but not having it spread out.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. Sam, your question.
Yeah,
What's your thoughts on it?
it was difficult at the beginning. I mean, we do a lot of social housing work, so the government obviously got pretty hit. We were told to move off sites. Again, it didn't last too long, but it forced us to change the way we set out on our procedures, our operating communication, and I think it's a good thing. As we've just carried it on, I'd say our communication with the client side is the best it's ever been. Internally, like I said, the use of sort of the social platforms, the apps and WhatsApp and everything like that is really working well, and I think people have adapted to it in a really positive way. So we've sort of kept a lot of it in place.
Oh, so like the embracement of the technology that you've been using.
Yeah, I mean, it was difficult. Not everyone took to it on site, especially, some of the people where it's new to them. But the people who are used to it have really spread it, and it's gone well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Leanne, thoughts?
Yeah, it impacted us quite heavily. We were quite an office-based firm, several offices along the south coast, and we were all in. There wasn't really much flexibility in the way that we worked, and of course overnight everything changed and we had to adapt within that week. We had systems in place that really helped us. For instance, most of us were deployable home quite quickly using our phones, but similar to you guys, like my clients, they like to be seen face to face, so we all had to adapt. And I think we did quite well with it, so the likes of Teams, Zoom, things like that. And of course I specialise in wills. So over that period of time we had a massive influx of inquiries because people were scared. So my team was particularly busy and we were all deployed at home working on our own, trying to arrange to go out and do this work. I was signing wills over car bonnets in the car park at work, posting them through the front windows, looking at them, signing them with my colleagues, keeping our distance and things like that. So it was mad, but we adapted quite well. And following on from that, we've kept a lot of that flexibility. So several of our teams are now pretty much remote working.
Right, okay.
And traditionally in a law firm, that was just kind of unheard of. So yeah, our positive is we were forced to change for the better, and we've carried on with it.
Yeah, it sounds to me like a lot of people talking here about like technology adoption in terms of like using a lot more software and a lot more flexibility in terms of working environment and stuff. Oh, a quick question for all of you on this is, do you feel having, probably my first experience in business where I've had to live through a time that was very turbulent from a business perspective, I think from a macro perspective, it's probably, I think, long-term maybe more resilient. Do we feel like as individuals, you guys as business owners and directors, that you're more resilient having gone through that period, or not really at all?
I think so. I think, yeah, most definitely. I mean, just change itself, it proves that you can change to improve the business side of things. It wasn't easy for anyone, and it does mix in your personal mindset into your business, because you have to change everything, don't you, from how it was in COVID. So yeah, I think it's definitely made my business more resilient, and me as an MD of it and running it, definitely.
Yeah, I think the biggest word there is change. Like we all, as humans, we all hate change, whatever it might be, and we'll procrastinate, to the best of our abilities not to change if we don't want to. But when COVID came along, it forced us to change, and it kind of meant that you kind of almost had to trust in the unknown, because you were pushed into an area that just was so uncomfortable, but there was no option to it. And I think, like we said a few minutes ago earlier, is if you embraced it and you looked at the positives in that change, you benefited from it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably some real healthy stuff in that. That's a nice little segue for a little question I've got for you all, actually, in terms of change. So, if you could in the next hour master any skill or talent instantly, what would it be and why?
I would like languages.
Okay.
I'd love to speak more languages.
Any particular one?
Spanish, I
Right.
think, more so. I'd like to think that my business could be more international and I could offer services cross-border better. And I think being able to speak a different language, especially that language, would really open up some doors and make it very interesting.
Wish I could make your dream come true, but I think there's quite a lot of effort in it. But okay, so we've got Spanish, or languages in general, but if we're doubling down on one,
That's
we
a
go
clever
Spanish.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
I think that's really useful.
What would you go for?
I'd want to be able to fly, like as in pilots, not physically
okay.
fly. Yeah,
Not,
like
this is a
pilot's
superhero
license.
question. This is a
Yeah,
so
if
pilot.
I could instantly.
Like the Matrix, where you go into it, like Neo goes in, they put the thing and they put like upload. You can drive I think the motorbike at the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, you take pilot.
Download all the martial arts and be able
Okay.
to do all of those skills.
Okay.
But yeah, no, pilot. Yeah, being able to fly planes, helicopters, that'd be great.
Nice. Okay, pilot. Spanish. Sam.
I'd like to be able to play the guitar. My wife bought me a guitar probably about 5 years ago, a really nice one, and I promised that I'd learn it, and I haven't. And I just look for things that I can switch off, and I think if I can learn that, then I'll become a
What
better
song?
guy.
What song would you like to play?
So one of my favourite songs is Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Okay.
Yeah,
Great song.
it is a great song. Very controversial, that one. But I'm glad you like it.
Controversial.
Well, a lot of people aren't a massive fan of that song. But
Okay.
I
Yeah, it's
think
very Marmite kind of song, really.
So you're not a fan? No?
It's all right. Yeah.
Okay. You'll be a delight. Yeah, so I'd love to be able to play that song. Because it's
Okay.
very upbeat, it's very happy. It's good to be happy.
Fair play. Right, Tim.
I'm really miserable now. You ain't fun.
It's good to be happy. I like it. Words of wisdom from Sam Clover here at Team Talks.
go.
Excellent.
Yeah. Breakfast at Tiffany's on the guitar. Go on then.
Mine's, I don't know, I'd love to speak languages, yes. I'd probably give up on that one because I'm struggling with English. Playing guitar, playing the piano, again, I'd love to do all that. But for me, just being more confident in public speaking, that kind of thing, has always been my worst enemy. Put me in front of a boardroom, pitching my product all day, every day. I'll hit the biggest boardroom, no problems at all. Sat here now, or sat in front of my team, or doing team presentations where I'm not pitching a product, I'm more selling myself rather than the product, is something I really hate. So
Okay.
to become better, more confident, that would be my dream.
Okay. I think you're great at it, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, really good at it.
You would
So I
never
think maybe
know.
it's just a confidence piece, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right, nice. Thanks for that. Right, so next question. Let's come to Tim.
So it's a bit of a controversial one, but life is a journey with many twists and turns. Looking back in your journey of work, personal, whatever it is, I think we all have a defining moment at some point that has made us to who we are today. So what's yours?
Liyen, let's come to you.
Okay.
Ladies first. Ladies first.
Ladies first. Okay, so my defining moment was the decision to re-specialise in law. Traditionally, when you qualify as a lawyer, you are slightly pigeonholed into a specialism, and there's a reason for that. You need to be very good at what you do and a specialist in it. We're not like GPs, we're like consultants in that respect. And I picked a particular area which I love. I still love it, but it just wasn't for me. It wasn't working out. Personally, I was exhausted all the time. I used to work all day, all night. I did criminal law, so it was a very 24/7 job. And it was okay for a while. It was exciting, and then I just decided I can't work like this anymore. I can't do this. So I had to go back to basics, start a whole new area, and that decision was really hard. It took like a pay cut to do that as well, and everything changed. at home. My husband had to work harder and to make it happen. So my defining moment was make that decision, firstly, do it, so implement it, and then make it a success, which, touch wood, so far, it has been. And that was 10 years ago.
Okay. And how long did it take you to arrive at that decision?
3 years.
Okay.
I'd been thinking about it for around 3 years, and I tested it, working harder, staying, working less, seeing how it would go, choosing different areas within my specialism to see if I could focus on that, and it just didn't work out, and it was a whole shift, a whole change. So it was like an entire career change, effectively. It was really hard, but it worked out. So that was re-specialising was
Your big moment in your career?
moment,
Yeah, good for you. Sam?
Probably, I always say, because I was in the army, I left about 12 years ago. And I always say two of the best things that happened to me was joining the army and leaving the army. Just gave me a bit of discipline, taught me structure, and I sort of took it on quite nicely into my business career. So it worked well for me.
When you came out of the army, did you know you were going to go into business straight away?
I'd always set it up before I left, to be honest.
That's smart.
About 6 months before I signed off, so I got to do a year period. Signed off and set up the business. And just sort of wanted to, gave me a fair bit of ambition. Wanted to earn more money, wanted to just generally do better. And I worked hard, so to be honest, I knew I could do something there. So.
Yeah, it's a good question. Isn't it? These moments in your life that you look back on that timeline, how you historically just changed the direction in which you're going in. So what was it for you, Tim?
It's a tricky one without opening a can of worms, but I grew up in...
We're all for can opening.
I grew up in quite a strict religion, cult arrangement, and I decided that 14 years ago that it just wasn't for me. And I remember kind of when I left and became excommunicated or whatever you want to call it, and I left my family and everything behind. Someone saying to me that I was going to be a failure and end up in the gutter. Now, whether they said that to kind of scare me from taking the route I was doing or not, but it's those words that will ring in my head, and they ring in my head pretty much every day, to not be a failure and not end up in the gutter. And I think prior to that, I'd always taken things kind of, taking them as they come, do what I did, but never really had a fear of that until those words were said to me, and I went, I'm not going to be a failure, I'm not going to end up in the gutter. And when we all have down moments and up moments, but those down moments, I just think back to that and go, no, I'm going to prove you wrong. And I think sometimes your critics can actually be your best friends because they say something to you that then makes you go, I'm not going to do that. I was going to say a word that I probably shouldn't say on here, but no, I'm not going to be that person. I'm going to prove you wrong. And
It's great fuel, isn't it?
such good fuel.
Yeah.
Such good fuel.
You can tap into that.
People can go, oh, you're doing so well at this, or you're doing so well at that. And you kind of take compliments as they come. But when someone actually gives you some criticism or puts some fear or, makes you doubt yourself, it's that fuel that is what really can drive you to being the best person you can be.
Best version of yourself. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah,
Matt?
stuff. I mean, mine, I think, when I look back, like late 20s, early 30s, I think, like a lot of guys, I felt a bit lost. And I was always into, as like a teenager, I was always into like adrenaline-fueled things. And then life kind of, it's a rocky journey, like you said, twists and turns and all that. And I got to late 20s and I thought I need to do something that changes, sort of mix things up, really. And I booked a skydiving course in Seville in Spain. And like jumped on the plane, went on my own, and you meet, you get there in like a hostel type environment, and you meet loads of other people that are doing a similar thing. And you meet some real characters, from people like in the Met Police Force to like MMA fighters, and all of these like people from completely different walks of life. But that, when especially looking back, that was a life-changing moment for me. It taught me loads about risk, sort of risk assessment, risk management, which, and I know that's like a personal life thing, but there's so many takeaways, which now, looking back, I apply to business and, and work life. And especially a thing called like target fixation. So in like skydiving, and any of you that ski or snowboard will know what I'm on about. If you're skiing, you're trying to avoid the trees. You have to focus.
Start,
you have to focus on the gaps. if you focus on the trees, if you think, oh, I mustn't hit those trees, you will ski towards those trees. And there was a really good friend of mine who, absolute lunatic, skydiving, like pushes all the boundaries, but he learnt this kind of the hard way. If you're at 8,000 feet, you're looking, you've got green fields, loads of nice places to land, and you've got one tree, and you think, I mustn't hit that tree, I mustn't hit that tree, or a telegraph pole, whatever it is. You can guarantee you're going to go straight towards it. And it shows you that, and it was a big life lesson for me, that things you focus on, and on a simple level, negative stuff in your life and positive stuff, if you focus on the negative stuff, you're going to attract more of that. You're going to go down that path.
It's a difficult balance when you mention that, though, isn't it? Because going back to what Tim said, like some of the critics can be great motivation, but if you focus on it, trying to calibrate your energy just right, that it's a difficult balance. Yeah. How do you do that, by the way? Just as you touched on, like the critics are great motivators for you. Like, how do you make sure you don't get too dark with that?
It's an interesting one, and I found this on Friday night cutting the grass, and I was desperately trying to get straight lines. And I found that if I followed the line that I'd cut previously, it always ended up wonky. But if I looked straight ahead and forgot about what was going on down here, that line was straight. And that's exactly what you said then. If you look too closely at what's going on around you, you can get quite bogged down and you can end up following that pattern. But by looking straight ahead, the line was so much straighter. And I know that's a real crazy thing to say, but it really made, and back to your question then about critics, you can't follow that. You've got to keep it as a little voice in the back of your head. But if you get too bogged down with something and get too fixated, it can go wrong.
Yeah, I kind of think about football. Like, you've got the away fans, they're screaming at you like you're terrible and you're rubbish. But if it dominates your mindset, you're just going to play terribly on the pitch, aren't you? Yeah. So you have to kind of zone it out. But it is good motivation to be like, I'm just going to, I want to go perform in a minute. That was me swearing, by the way. Not at you. I wouldn't do that. That would be really rude on this podcast. Okay, going back to jumping, you've done quite a lot, haven't you?
Yeah.
How many have you done?
140, give or take, over the years.
What's been your favourite?
Still, any sunshine, anywhere hot. I do a lot in Salisbury, or used to.
Okay. Was that a go skydive?
No, I did a little, like I said, early 30s, had a midlife crisis, and I thought I'm going to get a job there. So I did, I worked there for a little bit and did camera work. And but no, you jump at Netheravon in Salisbury, but it's a part of the army base, and you can fun jump there once you've got your license. But going anywhere hot is amazing. So Spain, Spain, the US, anywhere like that, it's incredible because you just got the weather, And then you jump in the morning, like in Spain, for example, the wind picks up, so you don't want to jump in the afternoon. You don't jump late afternoon, evening. So you go out in the morning, get up early, you're up in the plane, the adrenaline's going, and then by lunchtime the wind's picking up. So then it's going to have a beer in the sun.
I'd done 2 jumps in Canada, and it was I'd never do it again.
No.
What, tandem ones?
No, the single. Well, it was a bit weird. They chuck the pilot chute out after you, and they guide you down with a walkie-talkie on your chest. Yeah. They give you a day's training, and then you've got to hang off the wing, but off the it's like the stabilizer of the wing. You look at them, smile at them, and then they let you go, and then they just chuck out after you. Yeah, it's terrifying.
While we're on this, whilst we're on this,
imagine you just
there's
letting go.
They're absolutely great. Mate, fair play. What a thing to get into.
Yeah. While we're on that train of thought, bucket list. What's on everyone's bucket list at the moment?
Oh God, there's loads.
Go on then.
No, I can't think.
Deep in thought.
It's certainly not skydiving.
I think mine's more foreign travel.
Okay.
Further away, not just Europe all the time. Just get away.
Anywhere in particular?
Like Southeast Asia, ideally. We'd love to go to Japan. We'd llove it.
Very nice. Anyone been to Japan?
Never.
No? Okay. Well, that's for yours. We'll take that, Japan.
Japan's a good one, isn't it? I mean, I love ancient lost civilizations. At the moment, listen to loads of podcasts about it. Virtually obsessive. But I would probably, so I would want to go to, I've never been to Egypt. I've never seen the pyramids and places like that. So that's probably on my bucket list, I would think. Take the family over there.
Travel, I guess, is probably the biggest one. But last year I went up to safari in Africa. It was quite short, 3 days. And it was never on my bucket list to go on a safari. And having been on it, it was just so incredible. I really want to do a whole load of Africa in terms of different safaris, seeing from the plains to the national parks and that. It was just so fascinating. Yeah, I just really want to book to go back and explore more of Africa.
Mr. Clover?
I'm actually going to Las Vegas at the end of June. And
You've been there before?
Good luck.
I have been before, yeah, with the wife, and it was. I had a great time. We did have a fantastic time, but she knows I want to go and do it. That the lads want to play golf out there and be sensible and everything. So,
How many lads are going on this trip?
I was only about 12 of us.
Only
Casual 12.
You're talking like she's listening right now. That's
Oh,
really a sensible one.
I'm sure it won't
holiday,
beat the time I went out there with her, but I am looking forward to it.
Well, very diplomatic. I like it. Where are you staying?
MGM.
Nice.
Yeah, no, we're good. We are playing golf out there, and it will be, yeah, it's good.
Very civilised.
Yes, of course.
Tim's been a few times, right?
Yeah.
So any recommendations for him?
Get the golf over and done with early. If you do the golf too late in the trip, you probably won't enjoy it as much.
I booked Tiesto.
Okay.
To be honest with you, the first time I ever heard of him, the DJ.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Big
so-
DJ.
But apparently he's very good. So I'm doing my pool parties.
Yeah.
Have you done the Sky Tower thing?
No.
Okay, that's worth the booking to have dinner upstairs. You get sort of like a revolving restaurant. Don't ask me which tower it is, but it's the tallest one down the end of the strip, and you can have dinner. And the restaurant moves round, so you get like a 360.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a civilized side of your trip. You can do that, get a few pictures, and say it was
That's sort of what I'm after.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Just evidence.
just evidence.
Then
Have
get
we
yourself
organised to take a picture?
Just take the picture and go. Yeah, you can have a drink. You can have a drink.
get yourself to Wet Republic.
Yeah, we've got access to that as well.
How long are you there for?
5 days.
You two been to Vegas before? Never. Okay, so this is helping you too, right?
Never,
All
yeah.
these recommendations flying in. Okay, let's get this podcast back on track. So let's go back to questions. Liyen, what's yours?
So mine is, how do you approach setting and achieving your long-term goals and implementing a strategy to achieve them?
Okay.
I struggle with this.
Yeah. Long-term goal planning. Anyone got any strategy or structure or
I
tactics?
mean, for me, it's like you can't climb Everest in one go, right? So I think, B for B, we try and break things into, whether bite-sized chunks is the right term, but, break it into stages, I think a few years ago, we took up working in line with like agile methodology, right? Essentially we work in sprints. So we know what our long-term vision is and what our goals are and what we want to achieve over the next 6 months, year, 5 years. But it helps the team to focus on having those short-term goals, working, what are our main objectives next week? What are barriers stopping us actually achieving those things? How do we overcome those as a team? And then look, then you expand at the end of each month and go, okay, next month, what's on our hit list next month? And then hopefully you're inching closer to the main goal that you're all working towards, And that's the only work-wise, for me, that's how we kind of approach it. But I think personally, I'd probably do something similar. I think if I look too far away, I get a bit lost.
Overwhelming.
Yeah. But I don't know if everyone else works that way, but I find actually focus on one step at a time,
Yeah, it did make me think. I used to, in my personal life, break every quarter set goals, and I did them in health, wealth, love, and happiness. So I'd have like a goal for each different one, and and I used to come back every quarter. And that really worked. And when you ask the question, I was like, I should really get back to that, because business-wise, we have like KPIs, and we say, look, this is this is how we're performing this month. And I think your Everest analogy is a good one. The same as people talk about an elephant, like how do we eat an elephant, like a bite at a time. So we do have very short goals, and we have team meetings every month to go over the business stuff. But I definitely want to get back to the personal stuff, because life's more than just work, right? And I remember the love and the happiness piece. I would make sure I had goals around. I remember one time I said I was going to take my 2 nans out for dinner, like in the happiness one. It might have been the love one actually. But and I remember actually it forced me to do it, which was a really nice thing to do. So, and I don't do enough of that at the moment in terms of I'm very focused on the business. So. Thanks for bringing that question, because it definitely stimulated that thought in me, getting back to that.
I'll take that away. That's fantastic, actually. So I don't know about you guys, but you get hyper-focused on what you do for a living a lot of the time, especially when you're business owners and you're running a business. And it's good to find that kind of trying to balance again with your work and your home. And I think personal goal setting is really important.
So, Tim?
Yeah, it was a very deep question, that one, because there's so many ways that you can cut it up in work, personal, and we all focus very heavily on our work goals, work targets, but you can easily forget about the personal ones. But in terms of the work ones, I find that I love goals, I love setting myself targets, but I don't ever do anything too far in advance, because often I find I can get easily distracted by that. And a bit like you said, again, back to your Everest analogy, if you try and focus on something too far ahead, and I've got really close friends that are so goal, target motivated, that I find that they kind of narrow themselves down from the now, because they're so busy trying to achieve what's there. And I'm like, you're missing opportunities flying around you, because that's what you're on. You're so blinkered. But at the same time if you don't have some North Star that you're trying to achieve, you're then lost. So it's getting a balance between not trying to distract you from what the opportunities are around you, but at the same time is not being lost on what you're trying to achieve. But getting a balance between personal work is the hardest.
Do you set goals?
Yeah, I do set goals. We set ourselves targets in terms of how many customers, turnover of our customers. I'd like to try and diversify a little bit more away from maybe exactly what I do in terms of car machines, merchant services, that kind of thing. But again, I'll become a bit of a nightmare if I get too distracted. I kind of view it as you have your feet on too many horses. You can find one horse goes one way, one horse goes the other way, and you end up flat on the back on the floor. But yeah, in the main, we set ourselves a target of customer numbers, turnover through the machines. That's kind of what I set me and my team on.
Okay. Anything personally?
Oh, don't start on them. No, COVID was go back to the COVID one. That was a massive help, because prior to COVID, I was on the road a lot and I really didn't spend any time with family. And having a meal with the kids and trying to set a target that once a week we all sit down as a family. And then I've got a good friend that we just don't have enough time together. And when we do sit down, we have a fantastic conversation covering all points, works, personal, the lot. And we set ourselves a target that we're going to have a sit down once a month. And that lasted for about 3 months. And then we just found distractions that keep cropping up. But it's trying to go back to that.
Yeah, it's difficult to stay on top of it, isn't it?
Yeah, and I joined the Southampton Round Table, and they meet once a month, the first Wednesday of every month. And again, I was really religious at attending them. And then you kind of procrastinate a little bit, and I was meant to be in Ireland next Wednesday. But I've changed it, so I land back at Southampton at 7 o'clock so I can be there. And it was not, I don't have to be there, but it's one of that mind thing that if I'm there and I change it to achieve one goal that I've set, it kind of gives you a bit of satisfaction.
Yeah. Yeah, nice. Sam?
Yeah, I was just thinking actually, we used to do monthly sort of target meetings at work and everything like that. And we actually started doing weekly ones over the last couple of months, just because we felt we can stay on it, we can remind each other. I've got a good team there that support the business and me through all of the difficult decisions and all the targets. Yeah, we find just shortening them. It's just, long-term goals, like you said, you can lose track of it. I mean, personally, the wife and I always say, right, let's do a 5-year plan, let's do this, do that. But
that's cool.
Yeah, we do. But again, you lose track. But really, we just narrow it down to, say, right, what holidays do we want to do this year? What can we do? Let's do it like that. So I'll try and cut it down and and try and stick to it as much as we can. But things, you're always throwing a few curveballs here and there, aren't you? And that's
just being flexible.
Yeah, that's probably the main thing. I mean, in business, we're quite a reactive and responsive business anyway. So we've got to be able to change direction quite quickly. So the long term, I must admit, when I saw the question, I thought I'm going to struggle with that, because a lot of it is very like, what are we doing in a month's time, because the work just gets thrown at us.
Liyen, your question, are you doing anything at all on goal setting?
Yeah, so we similar to you, Sam, we've kind of changed it up a bit in respect of our strategy meetings with our board. We do them monthly anyway, and then we'd have like an annual away day where we would set goals, plans and things like that.
Is that always in different places, or?
Yeah, we try and mix it up. We try not to do it in the office, because you get bogged down in office things. So we do it outside. It's fun, it's enjoyable, and it brings us together as a board as well.
How many on the board?
12 of us. Quite. increase recently.
Yes.
That's good. All very
Congrats.
good. Thank you. But what we've done, I mean, it's similar to you, we've started doing more regular meetings to develop strategy. So we're doing them quarterly and focusing on particular topics, which has really honed us on those, like you say, the Everest analogy. Otherwise, it just looks overwhelming when you write it all down and you think, oh my God, I've got to tick some of these things off. Whereas if we're just focusing on 3 or 4 things for that day, we can actually achieve them well. But I'm just interested to know how you do those things, and it's good to hear that we do similar things.
Yeah, nice. How far in advance do you set the agenda for those quarterly board meetings to know that this is the topic or these offsites?
So maybe a couple of months. So if the most recent one, we've set the next target for the next month.
Okay.
So you've got time to implement, to look around, or shift or change them. We have to be agile. You know, things are always coming at us. Different angles, different size, different clients, different needs. So yeah, we're quite malleable in that respect.
Okay. Right, I'm going to hold a bit of accountability whilst on camera. So we're going to do like a little personal goal. Okay? I want to hear a little personal goal from everybody that you're going to commit to doing, even if it is going and having breakfast with somebody or a lunch. Not that I'm giving you guys inspiration or ideas, but let's do a little bit of goal setting while we're here.
Love a curveball.
Oh, mate, I do. I just,
I did a sailing course this weekend.
Okay.
It's gone. Only level 1. And so my personal goal will be this time next year, I want to be competent enough to take one out on my own for several hours.
Okay. We'll be on board that journey now, if we can. Good one. I like that. Very good. Who's up next?
Yeah, I'm realising that my little girl is growing up very, very quickly. She's going to be 8 this year, so I think I can. And the business is in a good place, so I'm thinking I can spend a bit more quality time with her, especially through the summer holidays when she's off school and everything like that.
Okay, so summer holidays, quality time. What's one thing you're going to do with her?
Well, the first thing I've got is actually this Friday, because obviously Kay's working as well. So we just got the whole day together, and sometimes we just go bowling. She loves bowling. I quite enjoy bowling. I'm pretty good.
That helps.
So yeah, we're going to go bowling and a bit of lunch, and walk the dog.
Okay, that's the day. That's the agenda for the day.
That is it.
Very nice. Tim?
I'm going to go back to making sure that I have my dinner with my mate. Catch up about work, social, the rest of it, back to once a month, because we did it for 3 months and then it kind of went pear-shaped for the last 2. So set that and try and do that every month till the end of the year.
Nice. Go and drive that. Thanks.
Oh, I think mine's probably family related as well. You know, when my wife and I are lucky, we had twin babies 9 months ago. And I said at the time then, I wanted to, it's really easy to get distracted at the end of the day, you know, and your day runs over and there's always a million things to do. And I always wanted to I said I'd do my best to be there every day, you know, put them to bed and give them dinner and all that kind of stuff. And that's kind of, I know that there's going to be times where I'm going to struggle, but if I always have that focus in my mind, that I'm going to try and, get back on time as soon as I can. Whether there's still work to be done after they go to bed is another thing, but for me, that's one of my goals. Like you said, that time goes really quickly, like Sam said, so just trying to maximise it, really.
Yeah. You've inspired me, all of you. I'm going to organise a little day trip with the family, I think. It's interesting, you talk about like business goals and stuff, it's so easy to get fixated on them, isn't it? And then one thing is, going to something that you mentioned, is you don't enjoy the journey as much because you're so fixated on hitting, and life is the journey, isn't it? And if you don't take a chance to take a little step back and look at the scenery and spend time with the people that you care most about.
Push the buggy.
Yeah, pushing the buggy, absolutely. That's an off-camera banner. But so true. That is my day trip. I know it. So appreciate that, guys, really do. So next question, Matt, coming to you.
So obviously doing what we do, we create different adverts for businesses, to help you generate leads and, put yourself out there and increase your exposure. But so I was wondering, it's always interesting to find out what worked for you. Have you ever done a marketing campaign or a media campaign, an advert, might be social media, anything for your business to help, generate you more business? And, what have you ever done one that you found worked particularly well, that was really successful? If so, why? You know.
So I'll quickly kick us off. The first thing that came to mind when you asked that question is we did a video probably like a year ago, and people would always come up to me like, "Oh, I saw that video." So then I was like, "Okay, it must have resonated." Which was, we did a video on like traditional networking versus Bizpedia networking. So we did like this black and white like teas and coffees in like a, I don't know, in some sort of like dull venue and bacon rolls and stuff. And then we did this is Bizpedia networking, and obviously made it really like energetic and like skiing and all the stuff that we're doing. So when we created that video and then ran it, I had a lot of people just independently said, "Oh, I've just seen that video on like LinkedIn, really liked it and stuff." So I think that's the only thing that comes to mind straight away for me that we've done inside the business, where we tried just, you know, bring a bit of humour, I guess, to what we're doing from a marketing perspective, and it definitely resonated with people. Even though we wouldn't have been able to tell that from like the impressions and stuff, it was more the, you know, the feedback from being out in the marketplace. People were like, "Oh, I really enjoyed that. That was quite funny." Yeah. So that's the only thing I've got to kind of bring to the table on that one. Anyone else?
We did so we're trying to, if there's something relevant or prevalent in the news that relates to what I do, I will try and write something around that topic and post that out, and that tends to get good traction because it's, you know, it's happening now.
Yeah, it's topical.
It's topical. People are interested in it. So it's being aware of that, reacting quickly to that, and then putting that out. We get the best traction on that. Most shares, most leads, if you like, from that kind of thing. But you have to be on it, and that can be really hard.
Yeah,
If you've
that's a
got other
full-time
things.
job in itself.
Yeah,
right?
just
very much
keeping
so.
an eye out for things like what on the news. For instance, you know, Martin Lewis. Every time he does something, he mentions like a power of attorney or will or something like that. We have to be on it straight away because the phone will ring. So it's having some information out there for the clients or anybody that's really interested in it. But it's hard to keep an eye on it and then generate content at that right time.
So yeah, so your perspective on that is lean into current cultural affairs.
Yes, yeah, works for us.
Cool.
We done a family fun day and raised some money for helping homeless veterans. And we, to be honest with you, the Morisco itself is very much contract, so as tenders come to us, we've done it off reputation. But that sort of highlighted we need to do a bit more. This was a few years ago, and we've sort of tried to do more things like that. Like Macmillan, we got like a cake, simple things like a cake stand raising money for Macmillan or for the vets or something like that. And it was real images. It actually happened, and it sort of took well to
Nice.
the social media side of things.
Horrible question, because it's something I hate with a passion. And I'm useless at it, so I probably should have said it. One thing that I'd love to be better at is marketing. But yeah, just don't really do it, and I really should do more. And I've got a friend that's super hot on it, and I see the traction that he brings to his own businesses, from hospitality to other areas, and the power of marketing is phenomenal. For me, it's a bit of a hard thing to market because the industry in terms of card acquiring is, you know, there's marketing, everyone's on their social media and everything. But where I really need to improve on is brand awareness. So you can get introduced to someone and you want them to be able to look at your LinkedIn or whatever it is and actually see that you're an expert in that field. It might not be that you're putting marketing in terms of physically selling the product, but maybe just making more brand awareness and building your own brand as a master in that sector, and it kind of gives you more credibility rather than just putting up, "Hey, we sell card machines, why don't you buy one from us?" But do what you did, where you kind of become an expert in that and you pick up some current, you know, news that's going on and highlight it out to your contacts.
How do you find your target customer? If you said, you know, this type of business, they're a perfect customer of ours, how do you get your brand and your business in front of them at the moment?
So 95% of my business will come from referrals. I've kind of mastered that from day one. If I look after my customers, they are going to refer me to other people, and that is the most powerful way of generating business because it's kind of got exponential growth. The more people you bring on board, the more you look after them, the more they're going to give you in terms of referrals. It's tough because you upset someone and you can knock the domino pack going down rather than just, you know, someone you don't quite deliver right to someone, hey ho, that's one person affected. No, with how I run, you affect what, you know, one thing affects someone is going to have a massive negative effect down the dominoes. But yeah, I should do more. We could, there's so much out there in terms of social media from thousands of different publishing companies, and I just kind of decided not to be one of them and just build it from referrals. So yeah, 95+% will come from people going, we absolutely love it. We had a terrible experience before. You've changed how we operate. You brought so many better features to our business. We want other people to benefit from that the same.
Because I think they're the cool messages to push out, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're the takeaways that you want your customer, how your customer felt after that service. Because what we found now, we're riding a wave at the moment from social media through to TV advertising. That now, you've probably seen on Meta, for example, on Facebook and Instagram, how you can target specific people by age, location, lifestyle, what their hobbies are, and you can make sure that you put your product and your brand in front of the right person, and that's the goal there. And we've seen now, we're riding a wave at the moment where TV advertising is going that way. So we do, we've got a partnership with Sky and AdSmart, and it's a service where, again, you could, for example, say you can advertise your business, and you can say, look, this is the kind of person that, I know that I want to put an advert in front of them. And Sky will let you do that by their age or their location, their household.
What themes in the campaigns have you seen work the best? So we talked about like cultural affairs or humour or charity. What are you seeing like resonate the most?
I think people forget a lot of the time that the mediums you're advertising on, people are on there. Your customers are on there for entertainment 90% of the time. And there was someone famous who was talking about like Red Bull recently. They hardly ever advertise their drinks. When you go onto social, but they sponsor fun things. The people don't always want that promotional heavy. They don't want your product or your service sort of thrust it at them all the time. They want to be entertained, and I think if you can do that, and you'll increase your brand awareness, you'll benefit tenfold from it. But I think humour's a big one, but also those human stories. You could sell the benefits of your car services and products. And you may be unique. You may offer something above and beyond what your competitor does. But I think if you focus on, a really positive impact that you had on a business, and how you transformed that, their experience, how they deal with their customers, how they can improve their offering. I think that resonates with other people. And certainly personally, that's what grabs me. I go, I want to feel that way. You want to be emotive, don't you?
We had, funny enough, one of our apprentices set up a TikTok account, Dane the Apprentice.
Okay.
He's hilarious. He's very good at what he does.
Yeah.
Get that one in there. But he's obviously on his last year of college, and he just sets up these. It's his sort of managers in charge of the account, and it gets people buying him drinks and everything when he's just out randomly. He's almost earning money from it now. I think he is. But
it's the power of like key person of influence, which is Tim touched on. A lot of these, whether you look at like Conor McGregor and Proper 12, or you look at Dwayne the Rock Johnson with his tequila brand, or you look at like Logan Paul. I know I talk a lot about drinks brands, but with Prime, like these companies are massive.
Yeah,
they're worth like hundreds of millions of pounds, all based off of like key person of influence marketing. Like people put themselves out there, growing influence on these sites, and then great businesses off the back of it. As a segue into, so first of all, I want to really say thank you appreciate everyone's time to be on the podcast today and sharing your words of wisdom and asking great questions. I've got a quick fire round to finish the podcast, as it is a business podcast. So my first question to all of you is your favourite brand and why? I'm going to start with Matt and we'll go around that way.
I think I don't know about favourite. I think something like Airbnb is quite an impressive brand. I think from the messaging, brand styling, the colours, logo, everything kind of resonates. For me, I think, and they have an impact. Favourite, I don't know, but
we'll
memorable one,
Airbnb?
The brand I use the most is probably ASOS.
Okay.
All of my gifting, pretty much all of my clothing. I'm a lazy shopper, and it really appeals to me. I have prime delivery with it.
Great. That's a great member testimonial for ASOS. I'll charge them for that going forward.
Love it.
Yeah. Sam?
Jimmy's Iced Coffee. I think they've nailed it. Yeah, I like that brand.
Good local success story, that.
Yeah, they sold on that. I think.
Yeah, to
But,
Britvic.
yeah, I mean, I like the product, but yeah, I think the brand and it really stands out well. And yeah,
Nice. So Jimmy's Iced Coffee, Tim?
So it's two, okay, they're global brands, but it's Uber and Amazon, the way they've just nailed making life easier. Uber, where you can, your food, your travel, you know, I've tried to do a bit more bikes and scooters in London rather than cars, and you can just do it easily, and it's so seamless. You haven't got to worry about adding cards and the rest of it. And then the same with Amazon. I hate it because it takes business away from the independent retailer, but it's just too convenient, and that's what we like as humans, is convenience. And you could be sat thinking, oh sugar, I need to get this, and 30 seconds later it's primed and it's there tomorrow. And I hate it. I hate it in one hand because it is killing smaller businesses because they've just dominated that market. But it's the convenience of those two brands is scary.
yeah.
Okay. I like those. Thank you for sharing. Right, next question. I'm looking for recommendations on this one. So either a book, podcast, YouTube channel. Go and check out. What should we be checking out? I'm going to go with Tim first. I'm going to go around the opposite way, all right?
I barely read, so I can't help on books. Don't watch enough podcasts because I don't like them. But I'm going to get better, as I said.
Except for this one.
YouTube channels. Now that's a little bit more interesting. One I like, and I can't think what it's called, so that's terrible. But it's the guy that goes and explores crazy locations, from nuclear bunkers to battleships, and he's just done a Russian aircraft carrier that's in some place in China, and he had to swim across to it through fences, guards, and that's cool.
Okay, we'll find that and put it in the show notes at the end. Yeah. We'll find the link. All right, cool. We'll check that out. Sam?
I don't listen to enough. It's more my wife sort of comes up, but we did go and see Stephen Bartlett in London when he does live talk. And you know what? The guy, he just has a reason for everything he says. He's very clever in the way he gets around things, as in even from introductory emails to, yeah, his whole business way. So yeah, I think is good.
Nice. Daria CEO?
Yeah, I'm a big fan. I like him. I've been reading Tim Spector's books on, sounds really boring, gut nutrition, but really, really interesting, quite powerful information. I think he's got a few podcasts and he's quite prevalent on social media at the moment talking about it, but he's a professor, he's done a lot of BBC documentaries and he's written a few books now, and I just find that quite fascinating, talking about your gut microbiome as its own organ. You should treat it very well, and it's just interesting to me. So I like that, recommend that.
Love that, yeah. I listen to a lot of Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
It's really good and bad, I know. But there was one the other day with the actor called Terrence Howard, who was on.
Yeah, so I did see some clips of
Yeah,
that.
he was the guy
Proper
that
out
played
there,
the
there's
general
like-
in the first Iron Man film.
Yeah.
Yeah, didn't get the second Iron Man film. That's a long story. But as an actor, that's one thing, wasn't it? But he was also like a physicist and maybe absolutely cuckoo. I don't know. But it's worth a listen.
Okay.
It's really controversial stuff, and how actually that, you know, he's trying to upend the science that we all.
It was very
We
into
know
the
it.
physics of like science of like vibrations. And
And periodic table and how
Yeah.
things are connected with frequency and
So go
resonance.
check out Joe Rogan and Terrence.
Yeah, I would.
Is it Terrence? What's his
Terrence
name?
Howard.
Terrence Howard.
Yeah.
Okay.
Reckons his earliest memory was inside the womb. Right. So that's how he opens. So he might be a bit crazy, but he goes, I remember that. He goes, I remember seeing my hand. And you're like, but he goes, then he had a vision where he met this figure who he then later realized was himself.
Yeah.
But they said, what do you want to do in life? And he goes, I want to know how things work. And he said, and then I got to where I am today. And I was like, you could be crazy. I'm listening. It was great.
Right,
Barrett's
go,
probably drank a lot.
go check that out. Okay, my final question. Always like to give a bit of props to people. So I want you just to, some business owner locally that you respect from afar or that you know, I just want to give a little shout out to. I like the way they approach business life.
I'll jump on that one.
Go on then.
Good friend, Chris Shoetrups, I think you know him. He has nailed marketing and podcasts, all those kind of things. And yeah, he's definitely an inspiration of mine in terms of marketing, podcasts, and just how he generally approaches business from so many different angles.
Nice.
God, I don't know, to be honest. I'll tell you what, I've made some great connections in Bizpedia, especially from the pool group. So everyone in the Bizpedia pool group.
Good save.
Thank you.
That's the easy one. Yeah, I was going to go for that.
I guess my personal IFA, Jake Reynolds Firmitas, has been really, really helpful to me over the last 18, 12 months with me personally, and also building up a nice kind of cross referral of work with him, and socially it's been really good. So I'll give a shout out to Jake for all his help personally and at work.
Yes, sir.
I suppose one that popped to mind, we do a lot of shoots with different businesses, but like Team Jobs, Jason from Team Jobs, always great fun, seems to approach recruitment, and we work with a few different recruiters now, but seems to approach it with different energy and optimism and enthusiasm. That seems to permeate through the whole business from what I can see. So I was like, fair play. Every time we work with them, I'm quite impressed.
Nice.
Props to him.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Matt, Liyen, Sam and Tim for being on the podcast today. Thanks for everyone that listened. Until next time, keep smashing it. Bizpedia out.